Hamzat and DDP for next fight. Who do you think's going to walk away as the champion?
I can't see anyone really stopping Chimaev's takedowns. Like, his takedowns are so hard to stop.
Robert Whittaker says Khamzat Chimaev's takedown game is so brutal, it literally broke his face.
Can DDP drag it into those later rounds? Can it get through the first grappling exchanges and then start to capitalize on his just like persistence?
Robert Whittaker stunned fans recently when he claimed that Khamzat Chimaev's takedowns are practically unstoppable, going as far as to say he couldn't imagine anyone finding a way to shut them down. His comments came with more than just speculative weight. Whittaker had personally endured Chimaev's unrelenting grappling in a brutal fight that left him with multiple front teeth dislodged and requiring serious dental surgery. He vividly recalled the damage caused by Chimaev's face crank, explaining it wasn't just a tap out, it was physically devastating with long-term effects.
See, it happens, we transition, and then mate, he puts his forearm across my face with the face crank, right? And it was just picture perfect, like landed square between, like, that dimple part between your chin and your lip. It's like, it just hits right there, and within like instantly, my teeth gave out, like instantly. And like, obviously the squeezing afterwards didn't help.
Whittaker's view of Chimaev isn't just grounded in admiration, it's forged through the harsh reality of competing against him. He described the experience of being under Chimaev on the mat as suffocating, a situation where skill and heart couldn't outmatch pure physical dominance. When discussing Dricus du Plessis, Whittaker acknowledged the South African's grit and unorthodox toughness, but cast doubt on whether that would be enough. From his perspective, surviving the onslaught is one thing, but escaping it is another entirely. For Whittaker, once Chimaev gets on top, the clock starts ticking toward an inevitable end.
I think he beats both of them. I do. I think Dricus would be the harder opponent of Sean and him, just because if Dricus survives, Dricus is just good at surviving, at being there. And if we've seen anything with Chimaev, is that he gets tired committing so heavily to his shot and the grappling transitions early in the fight. So maybe that plays out differently if it gets dragged out later. I don't see him having a problem with Sean though, like at all.
Wow.
Still, not everyone shares Whittaker's bleak outlook for du Plessis. Jack Hermanson, who has faced Chimaev in a wrestling match and is familiar with his relentless grappling, offered a more nuanced prediction. While he leaned toward Chimaev securing a win, Hermanson believed du Plessis might gain an edge if he can drag the fight into the later rounds. He emphasized that Chimaev's strength and speed are overwhelming early, but if du Plessis can endure, he might turn the tide. Although Hermanson backed Chimaev, he warned that the fight won't be a walkover.
How will that fight with him and DDP play out? Because that's, I think, the fight of the year right there.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be an amazing fight, and I think Khamzat is gonna pull it off. But I do think that, you know, especially early, I think it's gonna be tough for Dricus. But if he can push the fight into the later rounds, I think he can have an advantage. So it's going to be a really interesting one. But I'll bet my money on Khamzat in that one. But, you know, not like some people think that he's just going to run him over. But I think it's going to be a tough fight.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's really interesting, especially like you said, if it goes into the later rounds. We've seen DDP go 5 rounds. I know he does look tired, right? Like he has this weird style where he kind of looks like he slows down, but he's going 5 rounds though, right? Like that's something that's kind of interesting. Where I don't believe Chimaev has before. So.
No, exactly, and we have seen like in the was it like the Burns and Usman fight where he looks a little bit more tired in the later rounds. So
on a more optimistic note for du Plessis, Sean Strickland strongly backed the South African to hand Chimaev his first professional loss. Having both fought du Plessis twice and sparred with Chimaev, Strickland argued that the Chechen-born contender's wrestling, while elite, isn't as untouchable as it's made out to be. He emphasized that du Plessis doesn't need to out-wrestle Chimaev, he just needs to keep the fight standing. In a striking battle, Strickland suggested du Plessis' awkward yet powerful style could give him a significant advantage, particularly if he manages to stuff or escape takedown attempts.
DDP and Khamzat got announced.
Oh no,
yeah,
good.
August 16th, on my birthday.
No, let's go.
3/19.
Let's go, dog.
Yeah.
Where's that gonna be at?
Chicago.
Oh, no shit. They're letting the fucking terrorists in.
In contrast, Darren Till, who has trained extensively with Chimaev and also shared the octagon with Du Plessis, vehemently disagreed. He predicted that Chimaev would finish the fight within 2 rounds. Till highlighted Chimaev's intense pace and aggression, particularly in the early stages, as factors that Du Plessis would struggle to manage. He recounted a recent conversation with Chimaev and noted how focused and calm he seemed, fully aware of Du Plessis' strengths but unfazed nonetheless.
If I went back to the UFC now, I was the middleweight I could be. I'd fucking tear that Dricus' head off. Tell Dricus I said fuck him, by the way. The little fucking gobshite. Because I can't stand his guts because he's so shit, he's so good.
You think he beats Hamza, your boy?
No, look, I'm with respect, I'm never going to look past Dricus because he trains hard, he's super dedicated, he's super strong, and he's got that awkward style that doesn't make any sense. I think Khamzat will beat him inside the 2 rounds. I really do believe that. But look, Khamzat knows. I was speaking to Khamzat on the FaceTime the other day because I'm meant to be going out to Dubai to help with the camp. Khamzat knows it's a tough fight, but, you know, Khamzat trains like a beast. I do think Khamzat gets it in 2 rounds done. Do you know what I'm saying?
By the way, you're looking svelte. You're looking great. How much are you weighing right now?
Everyone's been saying that, you know, that I'm looking fabulous.
Yeah, you are.
Ariel, let's just go. Do I look fabulous?
I think you look fabulous. The teeth are just like blinding me. I wish I was wearing sunglasses right now, but you're looking fit. Way fitter than the last time, right?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to show me another thing there. It was getting very low, the camera. It was weird.
Whoa.
It was uncomfortable.
Whoa. Only my missus gets to see that. Don't be disrespectful.
Adding another angle, Demetrius Johnson weighed in with an interesting observation. He proposed that Du Plessis might enjoy a stylistic advantage if he can keep the fight standing. According to Johnson, Chimaev has shown signs of fading in longer fights. He believes that Du Plessis' awkward movement and cardio could frustrate Chimaev, especially if the Chechen fails to end the fight early. The longer the bout stretches, the more dangerous Du Plessis could become.
DDP Hamza.
I got DDP.
DDP.
I think he'll survive the first round. Second round will be competitive. He might get taken down again. But I think he'll shoot in. I don't know. If I'm DDP, I'm shooting in on Chimaev.
Okay.
If he is getting taken down, he'd be like, I'm pulling guard. I'm not going to be cramped up against a cage. If you shoot early, we're in the center of the cage, I'm in guard.
Yep.
So I think he takes the center early, doesn't stuff it.
Yep.
Flops right to his back, but it'll be so easy for Chimaev, whereas other people might put up a bit of sprawl.
Yeah.
So I think DDP, round 4, round 3, TKO.
Michael Bisping echoed that sentiment, digging deeper into Chimaev's cardio issues. He pointed to Chimaev's performances against Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman as examples where his energy waned in the later rounds. Bisping emphasized that those fights were closer than many remember, and hinted that with different judging, Chimaev might not have walked away with the win. He raised a critical question: can Chimaev maintain his signature explosiveness deep into a 5-round fight?
Khamzat Chimaev is a force of nature, and he only knows how to fight one speed, and that's why people really enjoy watching this guy fight. He goes forward, he's a straight up killer, he's looking to take you down, do damage, knock you out, squeeze your head off. Whatever it is, he's trying to do damage right from the opening bell. And that's what he's done to almost everybody. 14 wins, 12 stoppages. Only time he's gone to a decision is twice against Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. And we know what happened there. He got a little bit tired. And against Kamaru Usman, well, he was kind of lucky to get that decision. I'm not talking shit about Khamzat Chimaev. I think he's phenomenal. But I think he's got some problems here going 5 rounds against Dricus Du Plessis. We've never seen him go 5 rounds. But we do know the man is a finisher. He is a phenom. He's a freak of nature. He's a strong son of a bitch. He's a great wrestler. He might not have the accolades of a Bold Nickel, but holy shit, when it comes to being effective, Khamzat Chimaev is right up there.
Renier de Ridder brought a rare dual perspective, having sparred with both fighters. He suggested that Chimaev's aggressive style could backfire if Du Plessis withstands the early onslaught. De Ridder noted Du Plessis' unpredictability, his strange footwork, unusual angles, and awkward rhythm as tools that could disrupt Chimaev's calculated pressure. He believes these unconventional traits could pose serious problems for someone who relies so heavily on blitzing explosiveness.
I know you've been asked a million times about like the Khamzat and Dricus fight, but now that we do have a date, like a location, all that kind of stuff, maybe you can talk about it in more real terms since we know when and where it's happening.
Yeah, it's August, and where is it?
Chicago.
Oh,
August 16th.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So apparently Khamzat can fight in the U.S.
Yeah, yeah. Now Trump is in office.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we talked about it before. Do you still feel Khamzat has the advantage there?
No, I think Dricus is gonna. I think Dricus will win. Yeah.
De Ridder reiterated that Duplessis' resilience doesn't fade as the rounds progress. While most fighters begin to slow down, Duplessis has shown he remains dangerous even when fatigued. His ability to fight effectively in deep waters, paired with his unconventional offense, could make him a nightmare matchup for Chimaev if the early barrage is weathered.
I don't think Hamzat is gonna get him out of there early. And Dricus is a motherfucker, man. He keeps going, and every round, though it doesn't really look better, he looks better. His technique, he gets better every round. And I see Dricus like finishing him in the late rounds, like 4th round, 5th round, maybe, with a lot of volume. I see Hamzat maybe taking him down in the 1st, 2nd round, getting to his back, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I think Dricus has a good shot.
Luke Rockhold offered a similar view. He stressed that while Chimaev often dominates early, his gas tank isn't built for long wars. Rockhold argued that if Duplessis can weather the early storm, he might find himself in a very winnable fight in the championship rounds. Rockhold believes Duplessis' toughness and superior endurance could become the deciding factors as the bout progresses.
It's not always about the most technical guy. It's the guy who wants it more. And
How do you think fares against Hamzat?
I think Hamzat is a go for broke kind of guy. Hamzat, if he can't out wrestle you, he can't control you in that fierce state of direction of what he does. I think he'll break. Hamzat will get him if he'll get him, but if he can't get him, it's gonna be a hard 3rd, 4th, and 5th round.
Right.
I think that's gonna be all Dricus.
So if it goes into the championship rounds, you like the champ?
Yeah, 100%.
Who wins, Dricus Duplessis or Hamzat Chimaev?
However, Caio Baralho circled back in support of Chimaev. He stressed that what makes Chimaev's wrestling dangerous isn't its technical foundation, it's how he blends his striking, movement, and pressure into something unique. According to Baralho, standard takedown defense isn't enough to prepare for someone like Chimaev. Without a deep understanding of Chimaev's rhythm and the ability to read his unpredictable entries, Duplessis could be overwhelmed quickly.
Hamza fighting against Dricus. Who do you think to win? I think Hamza is gonna win because I don't see anyone preparing properly for Hamza. They are bringing wrestlers to train them to defend takedowns and all that, but Hamza doesn't do the normal stuff. Hamza doesn't do rest. He does MMA moves. It's different. You need to understand his system, what he wants to do. You need to understand this first, and then you start to prepare for him. And I think Hamza's gonna win from with us.
Coach Tim Welch brought in a psychological layer, suggesting that Duplessis might have the mental edge. He speculated that if Duplessis can mess with Chimaev's head, whether through unpredictable movement or mental warfare, he could disrupt Chimaev's flow and composure. While Welch admitted that Duplessis might not match the best scramblers on the ground, he believes the mental game could be a hidden weapon.
Hamzat said in training, I submitted him multiple times. In a fight, it's a little different. And Strickland, you've seen Strickland get dumped before. He is an expert at getting up. He's really good wrestling, really good jiu-jitsu. But just like you said, can you survive the first fucking 3 minutes with that dude? Gnarly.
That's fire.
I miss the crazy Hamzat, but now that he's getting into these top 5 elite guys, I mean, it's probably better that he's not crazy Hamzat.
Dude, I mean, that looked like crazy Hamzat to me.
All week being respectful of the press conferences, respectful of like everything.
Yeah.
It was a lot different than he used to be.
DDP has a way of poking at opponents too, though, so you might be able to pull that crazy Hamzat back out of him.
I'd love to see DDP beat him.
Jamahal Hill reinforced concerns about Chimaev's cardio, noting that the Chechen tends to slow down in the later rounds. He praised Chimaev's technical prowess, but also credited Duplessis for his evolving game and unshakable determination. Hill expressed confidence in both men's abilities, but hinted that Duplessis has a knack for proving people wrong. He concluded by urging fans not to underestimate the South African.
Yeah, I've seen Chimaev fades towards the end of fights. As we seen with the Usman fight, I think if the Usman fight was 5 rounds, I believe Chimaev might lose that fight. The striking, I believe, is kind of like neck and neck, but from what I've seen as far as like the grappling, I believe Chimaev is the more technical, well-rounded grappler, if you will. And but Duplessis is strong for that weight class. So it's an interesting match. I think it's an interesting match that you hear me. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see the since the beginning, Chimaev was destined for title and for championship. So We gonna see if he can get it done. I can't doubt you, Plessis, bro. Every time, any questions I've ever had or any doubts I've ever had about him, it comes out and he wins.
Yoel Romero sees a slight edge in Khamzat Chimaev's favor, attributing it to his Olympic caliber wrestling pedigree. In Romero's eyes, this level of grappling proficiency could be the deciding factor in what many expect to be an extremely close and competitive matchup. The veteran fighter believes that Chimaev's deep-rooted wrestling foundation gives him an advantage that might be just enough to tilt the fight in his direction.
1640. 1640. Khamzat.
You have what? Sorry, who do you think? 60 Dricus?
16% for Chimaev and 40% for Duplessis. Yeah, that's a way.
So you think Chimaev? You're kind of slightly leaning towards Chimaev.
Yes.
Why? Why do you think?
Wrestling. They're wrestling. The wrestling for Chimaev right now is very, very dangerous.
Adding to that sentiment, Bo Nikal, one of the most promising new talents in MMA, placed Chimaev in the same category as grappling powerhouses like Islam Makhachev and Merab Dvalishvili. For Nikal, fighters who can apply constant pressure and dominate with positional control are redefining modern MMA. He views Chimaev's approach not just as successful, but as representative of the direction the sport is heading, where wrestling-driven styles increasingly dictate outcomes.
You know, just based on the styles, I just think the grappling style, you know, I might be biased. I'm definitely biased, but I think the grappling style is so hard to beat, and it's so hard to defend against. And I guess if you look at it from a analytical point of view, you have so many, it's really become the dominant force in the sport. You got Merab, you got Islam, you got, you know, Bilal, you got Khamzat, you even have, you can even look at Topuria. Obviously, people know he's more of a boxing style and he does a lot more striking, but his background is wrestling. You know, he did that before anything else. And so it's really wrestlers that are dominating, grapplers that are dominating the sport right now.
Despite the growing support for Chimaev's grappling supremacy, others remain confident in Dricus du Plessis and the unique skill set he brings to the cage. Former bantamweight champion Dominic Cruz, known for his analytical approach to the sport, highlighted the South African's strategic striking and stance switching as effective tools against takedown-heavy fighters. Cruz also pointed out du Plessis' mental toughness and ability to maintain composure under pressure, suggesting that this psychological edge could be crucial when Chimaev unleashes his signature early aggression, a storm that has overwhelmed many of his previous opponents.
Man, I actually really like Dricus right now, the way he's looking. Like I said in the Schmo interview, he doesn't really stay on the center line. His striking and the stance switch really supports him in the rest of the takedown defense. Because as long as you don't sit right in front of a guy consistently, it's hard to get a hold of the legs and shoot on you. So he's also very big and strong, so I think he can challenge the strength of Chimaev in the first 2 rounds, which a lot of people haven't been able to rival. Just the strength alone has been too much, and I think Dricus is sturdy enough and big enough. He can challenge it, but I will say I think it might be the toughest fight of his career so far.
Kamaru Usman, who has felt Chimaev's strength up close, added his perspective on the matchup. He emphasized the suffocating nature of Chimaev's grappling, particularly his ability to control opponents from top position. However, Usman also acknowledged that du Plessis poses a unique challenge due to his physical strength and mental resilience. According to Usman, it's uncertain whether Chimaev can impose his usual dominance on someone who refuses to break under pressure.
Khamzat Chimaev on your back around 1 is not easy to get off. And then he was able to sink that in. And that goes to show how strong of the squeeze this freaking dude is.
Could he pull that same style against Dricus du Plessis? Because I will say this.
Ilia Topuria, while having personal connections to both athletes, offered a balanced take. He sees the fight as a defining moment for the division and believes the gap between between Chimaev and du Plessis is much smaller than many assume. While he leans slightly toward Chimaev because of his finishing ability and aggressive style, Topuria believes the contest isn't about a clear favorite or underdog. It's a battle between two top-tier fighters with contrasting styles and nearly equal chances of victory.
He's a savage. He calls his shots, he finishes his opponents. When he goes inside the octagon, you know that that guy goes for the finish. He's not looking for the decision. That's why I respect Khamzat. He's a fucking beast. So he deserves to fight for the title as soon as possible. We're gonna have an amazing fight because I love Dricus du Plessis. He's a great human being. I have a great relationship with him. I have a great relationship with Khamzat also. But as a fan of mixed martial arts, it's gonna be a very exciting fight. I hope the best man wins, and I wish best of the luck to both of them.
With fighters, coaches, and analysts divided, one thing is clear: the clash between Dricus du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev is one of the most polarizing and anticipated showdowns in recent memory. On one side stands Chimaev, the relentless, explosive phenom who has bulldozed nearly every opponent he's faced. On the other is du Plessis, a durable, awkward, and gritty underdog who thrives in chaos and has repeatedly silenced doubters. Some see Chimaev as unbeatable in the early rounds. Others believe that if du Plessis survives the storm, the tide could turn dramatically. The fight is a clash of styles, mindsets, and narratives. And while Chimaev enters as the favorite, the consensus among those who've stepped into the cage is far from unanimous. Whether it ends in a storm of early aggression or a war of attrition, this fight promises to settle debates and maybe start new ones.